Hello all, welcome back. From today, I'll be starting with programming. Now, I had already told you once I start programming, I'll pick up topics one by one. I'll discuss those topics over here with a board. I will explain it to you with some slides. Okay, I'll give you all the information. That's what I'm going to do today. And today, I'll be starting with a very basic thing, and that thing is related to programming. It's about the compilation process. All right. See, compilation process is something which is related to programming, and there are so many programming languages, each of them having their own compilation process. All right, I'll start with C language because it is one of the most popular and one of the most basic languages, and gradually I'll cover 3 or 4 other languages also, and I'll tell you how the compilation process differs over there. All right, so let's start with it. I'll straight away go to the board, and from there I'll start. Okay. Now, when I'm talking about the entire compilation process, it starts it starts with your program. When you write a program, you save the program by a name. Let's say my program name is x.c. All right, x.c is the name of my program. I have my program over here. All right, I'll through this program x.c, I will explain it to you how this entire compilation process will take place, and what are the various steps involved in it. Before I start, have a look at this particular slide. Saw the slide? Now, tell me, looking at the steps. When I talk about x.c, what it is called? It is called source code. This is known as source code. It's a C program. It's a C program, and this program is known as your source code. Once you save it, you write some statements inside, and you save the program. Then only it will be known as source code. All right. This source code goes through the entire compilation process. At the end, you get the executable. Clear? Now let's look at the steps involved. Okay. Let's start with this. As I said, x.c is the name of your program. The first thing I'll do is I'll write down the 4 steps that will happen. First, now see, we are used to what? We are used to compilation. We let the compiler do everything. At the end, we get the executable, isn't it? But what are the steps involved? First thing that happens when you go for compilation is a stage called pre-processing. All right, this is the first stage that happens, pre-processing. Done? Got it? After pre-processing is done, the second stage is compilation. After compilation, the third stage is assembly. And the final stage is called linking. Got it? These are the stages through which your program goes. Let's understand one by one how this works. And what happens if I say x.c is my source program, I'll get the executable. If I am working under Windows environment, I normally get an executable that is x.exe, isn't it? If I'm working in, let's say, Linux or Unix environment, I get a file a.out or a customized file, which I get, by giving it a name. Okay, both of that I'll explain to you, but for clarity's sake, I'll pick up the GCC compiler, which will be a much better compiler to explain you the various stages. All right, so let's start with it. Got the 4 steps: pre-processing, compilation, assembly, linking. Okay, now remember that diagram which I had shown you already. If you want, I'll show it to you again before I start this process. Let's look at it. Saw it now? Okay. Now, when I talk about the first step, x.c is handed over to preprocessor. What exactly is the work of preprocessor? What it does in my program? Okay, my file is x.c. All right, remember what preprocessor will do? First, it will remove comments from the program. Got it? Comments, you understand? If it is a multi-line comment, it starts with a slash asterisk, then ends with a asterisk slash. All right. If it is a single line comment, you'll find it is with double slash. So those comments are removed from the source code. That is what preprocessor does. All right. After that, it goes for the pre-processing statements. Okay. For example, in a program, we go for hash include file name. If you remember, we say hash include stdio.h, hash include string.h. They are called header files. All right. That header file, the statement that says hash include stdio.h, that will be removed. In that place, the entire header file is kept. The contents of the header file will come. All right. Then you have something called macros. If you remember, they start with a hash. Let's say hash define x50, or let's say hash define m50. This is called a macro. If you remember, this is a macro. Okay. Now m, wherever it is used inside the program, it was there in the source code. All right, in my source code, that is x.c. Now every place where m is used will be replaced with what? Replaced with the value 50. This will happen during pre-processing. Remember that. Got it? Apart from this, you have something called, now this preprocessor is an entire chapter, so I can't elaborate over here. I'm just giving you some examples. There is something called conditional compilation also. Parts of your code may or may not go to the compiler depending on a condition. It will check for that. If the condition is based on the condition, maybe one part of the code or another part of the code is handed over to whom? Handed over to the compiler. Got it? So first it will remove comments, then it will go for macros, expand them, expand macros, third, conditional compilation, as I told you. Conditional compilation, it will go for, okay, those statements, they will be taken care of, this conditional compilation part. Okay, and there is something called miscellaneous directives also. Those miscellaneous directives are also taken care of. All right, all these things happen during which stage? During the stage that is called pre-processing. So x.c, that is my original file, is pre-processed or passes through the preprocessor, and normally what happens is it generates a file called x.i, which is an intermediate file. Okay, I know you must be interested to look at this file. I'll tell you how to look at the file, don't worry. Okay, x.i. Okay, Now, X.I is a file where everything will be done related to this pre-processing, which I told you just now, like comments are removed, macros are replaced, conditional compilation, the parts which are conditionally to be kept are kept inside the program. All these things happen over. So after pre-processing, this file is generated. This is called X.I. Got this? Now this file is handed over to the compiler. So what the compiler will get? X.I. Remember my original file was X.C. Remember that. X.I is handed over to compiler. Compiler takes this file. What compiler will do? Compiler checks for syntax errors, semantical errors, all these types of errors. It reports those errors to you. Once you correct, again the step starts from the again it starts from zero because you have to recompile. We say compilation as a whole term, but this is what is happening step by step. Remember that. So again the pre-processing will happen once you make changes to the file. Remember that. So compiler checks for syntax, semantical errors, reports them. If there is no error, what compiler will do? It will convert X.I into compiler. Will convert. I hope this is visible to you. Compiler will convert X.I into X.S, which is assembly language code. Entire X.I is converted into X.S, which is in assembly language. Got it? Assembly code, why? Because assembler will take care from here. After the compiler, it goes to the assembler. Assembler is the one which will convert it to machine language. Remember that. Okay, so you get the assembly code, that is X.S once it goes through the assembler. Okay, here it is purely internal. So what happens is the assembler will take care of it. It will convert. Done with that. Now you have X.S. Okay, X.S is handed over to whom? The assembler. Assembler will convert it into what? Into machine level code. Okay, the illustration I will show you. Look at this particular picture. It will show you the machine level code, and in every stage I'll give you a sample. Every stage I'll give you a sample. I'm giving you a sample of how the code looks like X.C, what is the code? When I jump to X.I, what the code looks like? When I move to X.S, what it will look like? And finally when it is X.O, how it is. Okay, at the end all these four I'll show you one by one. Don't worry. Okay, now X.S is given to the assembler. What the assembler will do? Assembler will convert it to something called object code. So now what happens? Assembler converts this to object code, which is in machine format. Got this? Clear about this? Done? Now this object code which you get will have an extension, that is .o in case of GCC compiler and .obj in case you are using Windows based compiler. Alright, you can check that out. So you have X.O. Okay, X.O is finally handed over to a process called linker. What the linker does, it will, as the name suggests, linker, it will link all those modules. Suppose, say for example, you are using hash include stdio.h. You have two functions, printf and scanf. Okay, these two functions need to be linked to your program. out of that stdio.h. Stdio.h is 2 U's in size. And remember when I told you about expansion in pre-processing, I said x.h is, I'm sorry, x.c is converted into x.i, the pre-processed file. And that pre-processed file, that particular pre-processed file will, simply contain huge amount of data. Why? Because stdio.h is replaced with the entire contents. Okay, so the size of that file is huge. Okay, you cannot have that kind of a file when you at the end. If you have that kind of a file, it will take too much of disk space, isn't it? So now what happens? Linker will do what? Linker will simply link printf and scanf function to your code. Got that? Both the functions will be linked to your code, printf and scanf. Once those two functions are linked to your code, after that, and C, most of the C compilers go for dynamic linking. I'll tell you later on. I'll tell you in another video. I'll tell you about this dynamic or static linking. Okay, because time is too short in this video to discuss about those things. But remember, linking happens. Once the linking happens, after that you get what? The executable. Remember and try to recall that one which I showed you, the one that picture of the entire compilation process. So executable, in case of Windows, you will get window-based compiler. Like suppose I am talking about Turbo C, you get what? X.exe. In case of Unix or Linux, you can give a name or else you get a file a.out. Got it? This can be executed. X.exe is executable, it can be executed. We all know how to execute a exe file by double clicking or by typing the name at the prompt and pressing enter. Similarly, a.out can be executed at Unix or Linux prompt. This, as I said in the beginning, I said this will be better to explain you because those intermediate files we never see. We are never able to see those in with .i, .o, all these extensions. So now let me tell you how to see those files. Okay, I'm giving you one example. Let's say Ubuntu Linux. All right. The best thing will be compile your program under Ubuntu Linux. Okay. Now this slide, this particular slide, I'll tell you the command. Look at the slide. Okay. So what do you do? At $prompt, you go for gcc -1. Now -1 is a command which will enable the compiler warnings. Okay, and that way you will get better output. So go for this -1. Then this is an option. If you are familiar with Unix and Linux, this is very interesting. You can follow and you can see. Okay. Now gcc -1. Along with that, I have already shown you what to write the whole thing, but just one explanation. File name x.c. Okay, this is your file name. Okay, go for it. Or else, if you want an output file by a name, go for the -o option, which I have already shown you. -o x. Okay, this is my output file name x, and space, go for x.c. So what happens now? X.c is compiled. You get the messages at different stages of compilation. Okay. Now, along with that, what you do? You go for an output file by the name of x. So you get an output file x, and after you get this output file, you can run and see the file by saying ./x. I'm sorry, ./x. Okay, this is how you do it. All right. Now, looking at the intermediate files, these intermediate files are already there. You can have a look at any of the intermediate files, and what it contains. Let's say I'm talking about x dot I, what it will contain. Have a look. Okay. Here I have just done one thing. I have replaced it with file name.c. Okay. So you take it as you consider it as x.c. Got it? Okay. This is your x.I. Look at what it contains. You have already looked at. Done. Now x.s, the assembly language code. Have a look. Got it? This is what it contains. X.O now, the object code. This is how it looks like. And finally your executable. This is how the executable looks like. So got this entire thing. You can see for yourself what are the intermediate files. Now these intermediate files need not be kept. You can delete them. Okay, no problem at all. You can simply delete these intermediate files. You don't have to keep them. And what happens, nowadays compilers are with an IDE, integrated development environment, where you get the editor, compiler, etc. bundled together. Alright, so there what they do, once you go for the compilation process, these files are automatically produced and they are automatically deleted also by most of the compilers. But since we are verifying, we are looking at how to look at this. Okay, so I hope you got a clear picture on how the compilation process works and what need to be done at which stage to look at. And this is very interesting, let me tell you. This is really, really interesting. Got it? Apart from this, let's, as I was telling in the beginning, I said we'll pick up languages and look at their compilation process. C and C++. These two languages, the compilation process is almost identical, not much difference. Yes, the difference is when the compiler looks at the code. If you look at C, it is structured programming. It doesn't have a class concept, object concept, all these things are not there. Of course, when it is C++ compiler, it will recognize a class, it will recognize an object, it will know what is inheritance, polymorphism, all these concepts. Got it? So that's what you get finally. Clear with this? So, friends, I hope you enjoyed this particular session. Okay. Next session, we'll discuss, in the next video, we'll discuss how to compile a Java program. What is the entire compilation process of a Java program and how it is different from C and C++. Okay. Till that time, take care. Bye.